So guys, this is the great ancestor, Amenfi, that we were just hearing about, and that's our Nana standing there, and you can see the little house that he has at his back, and he carries it everywhere he go. And the sister is the one sitting by his left hand side. The sister is the one sitting. If I take a closer look, you see the sister sitting up there on him. He carries the whole house at his back, and the sister sit, and you can see the maize or the corn pouring down into his palm, and he chews it while the sister is frying or roasting the corn for him to chew. So the roasting is happening whilst he's walking about, and you can see that's how huge his knife or cutlass or sword was, whichever you want to call it. Some call it knife, cutlass, sword. You can see how huge it is, and that's how tall. So see the size of the sister. You get it. See the size of the sister. So if the sister's height is only to his ear, from the head to the ear, then you could tell how tall he was. As you can see, you can tell how tall he was. So this is the statue that a replica of who the giant Amenfi was, how tall he was, and he was a great man and a great legend to our history and our ancestry. And I'm glad that we were able to make it this far. Listen, we are learning and we're still learning.
Africania. Our forefathers never be lazy. Anything they were looking for, they were able to build it themselves. They wanted to make a drum. They cut a tree, they put the hole inside, they put a leather cover in it, hitting the drum, the vibration, go to the next village to call for assistance. There's some problem. Amira! What are we Africans today doing? You go to the university and see our young youth learning theology because all of them want to become Christian pastors. Is it good for our future country? No. We want us to be ourselves as Africans because our foreparents have contributed better, great for our being here today. This is Africania mission. Africania is to come out and tell the world that the African also has a God. We know there's only one God, but we want to see that creator from the African perspective. Amira! We are here celebrating Akosidai. Then let's go, what is culture? Because all this is based on our culture. And out of the culture, we get our belief system. Amira! You go to the other side of the world, our brother Muslims, the Christians, probably they are putting down on our African culture because we have not come up to defend the cause of the destruction of African civilization. It's time as Africans, wake up, stand firm, and tell the world that the African also has the God or the creator. It's now.
Our enemies are many, and they stand ready to pounce upon and exploit our every weakness. They play upon our vanities and flatter us in every kind of way. They tell us that this particular person or that particular country has greater or more favorable potentialities than the other. They do not tell us that we should unite, that we are all as good as we are able to make ourselves once we are free.
Don't fucking move on. Shoot your fucking ass, bitch. Tase his ass.
Why are you so angry?
I'm angry because it's been going on forever. Forever. Enough is enough.
We're waiting for Beck. I will, sir. No worries. I will.
Fuck.
He just shot his arm off. We got pulled over on Larpener.
I told him not to reach for it. I told him to get his hand out.
You told him to get his ID, sir, and his driver's license. Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead. Please don't tell me my boyfriend just went like that.
Keep your hands where they are, please.
Yes, I will, sir. I'll keep my hands where they are. Please don't tell me this, Lord. Please, Jesus, don't tell me that he's gone. Please don't tell me that he's gone. Please, officer, don't tell me that you just did this to him. You shot 4 bullets into him, sir. He was just getting his license and registration, sir.
Mid-20th century is Africa's. This decade is the decade of African independence. Forward then to independence. To independence now. Tomorrow, the United States of Africa.
So I finally made it to Aseba Mainsfi, and I was glad to have an audience of the OKYEAME of Asebu, the OKYEAME of Asebu. The Chame is basically the linguist of Asebu, and his name is MENSAH. So I was humbled to have the audience of MENSAH, and I introduced myself as Kojo Bento, and I told him what I'm about, the fact that we are here to learn. We just want to go back to our fathers and learn from our fathers, our history, our traditions, and the spirituality of our fathers. I'm more interested in the spirituality aspect, so I literally introduced myself and why I was there and how excited I was, and he asked me if his voice was okay, and I said yes, it's okay. You should just raise it up a little bit. So Nana is telling me this is an ancient town called Asebu, a mountain, but people have just left it as Asebu, and it's become Asebu, and it has 26 villages around it. Oh wow! We have Asebu Mori, Asebu Amonsima, Asebu Akuma, Asebu Bebia, Asebu Surawofo, Asebu Abasa, Asebu Fawomanye. These are the Asebus that we have around us, and these are the little villages that surrounds the Asebu district. Everybody just keeps saying Asebu. So the name has literally become Asebu, and it is the traditional area of the entire place. It's just like the way the Abras do theirs. Like we have Abra Dunko. It's because they are part of the Abra district. That is why they call the place Abra Dunko. So the entire surrounding is Asebu, but we have so many districts under Asebu. Guys, welcome once again. Today I'm honored to be in the presence of OKYEAME Kwamensa. And you know how we do it. I'm going to have the conversation, because I don't want to cut the conversation, so I'm going to have it, and later I'll do the voiceovers, try to explain what the conversation was about. Hope you enjoy it. We all learn. I'm here to learn as well, so as you're learning, I'm learning. We're learning together, guys. Okay, let's get it on. Our ancestors came down to this place from Egypt. We came down here to settle in this place from Egypt. So Egypt is our home, that is our ancestry. And when we came, there were people already settling here, and we came to join them here. So we came down here by crossing the sea. When I say crossing the sea, I mean we literally came walking through the sea. So the sea parted and we walked through, and we came walking through a forest called Fum Fum Pom. That's the forest that we came walking through. So while we were coming through the sea, through the forest, a hunter saw our ancestors walking through the forest, and there were a multitude of us still coming out of the sea. So the hunter stood there for about an hour, and still there were multitude coming from the sea. So he shouted, "Where are all these people coming from? See how multitude they are." And when he shouted, the rest got stuck in the sea. It was like the portal closed and they couldn't come out from the sea anymore. Were they not human beings? Nana said they were human beings, but the giant, who is Asebu Amenfi, was the one leading them to shore. And they were human beings, but they came out of the sea. And by the time they got here, the portal were closed, so a lot of them got stuck. So Amenfi came with the brother. His name is Koja. Amenfi's brother settled at the shore, whilst Amenfi settled in the inner land. And Amenfi was the farmer, and his brother Koja was a fisherman. So whilst Amenfi was farming in the hinterlands, Koja was at the shore, a fisherman. He was depending on his brother's fishes, whilst his brother was depending on his farm produce. When they all settled, they kept asking themselves, if everybody made it to shore, if everybody came out of the sea. But they kept saying to themselves, almost everybody is here, but it's left with Techua. So in Fanti we say Akatechua, it's left with Techua. Amenfi came with the sister who is Amenfua. So Amenfi's sister is Amenfua, but it was left with Techua. So they kept saying Akatechua. So when you are moving to Accra from Cape Coast after Yamnansa, there's a village called Akatechua. The village was named after her because she was left in the ocean. She was left in the ocean. Okay. Every time the giant Amenfi shaved his head or barber his head or cut his hair, we could make 20 mattresses out of them. Every time the hair that came from his head could make 20 mattresses. And every time he shaved his beard, we could make 10 pillows. So his head was making 20 mattresses. His beard was making 10 pillows. That's how much hair he had. Every time the giant Amenfi had to make it to the shore to go and see his brother, he always went with a sister. He would carry the sister at his back in a structure looking like, and the sister would be roasting corn in the structure. So whilst he's roasting the corn, he will be passing on the corn to Amenfi, and he will be chewing it whilst carrying the sister. So whilst he's walking, the sister is roasting the corn at the back of his shoulder, at his shoulders, and he was chewing the corn at the same time. And he was always doing this. Look at the huge metals there. Every time he was walking, he had to use one of them as a walking stick because he didn't want to feel light. When he didn't have anything in his hands, he felt very light. Every time he sharpened his sword, he used the enemy as trials to check whether his sword is really sharp or not. So if his sword is able to take the heads of 7 men at the time, it means it's sharp. If it's not, then it means the sword is not sharp. And he farmed very huge lands. Whenever the enemy approached, every time there was war, what he did was he would go to the forest to lay ambush. He would literally bend down one of the tallest trees in the forest and make it look like it's already a tree on the floor whilst the tree is still standing. So when the enemies walk onto the tree and masses of them stay on the tree lying on the floor, then he releases it to make it shoot like a catapult. When they came down from Egypt, they brought a particular river. They fetched from the particular river in Egypt, and they brought it down to Asebu. They called this river Segu or Segu. That was the name of the river. So they literally carried the river from where they were coming from into this vicinity. Now, Segu has become the god, the river has become the chief god in the entire Asebu district. They fetched some, brought it all the way from Egypt, and now that is the chief god of the entire Asebu district. My mother was the chief priest, was the final priest or the last priest that ministered to the god Segu in this area. So after she died, nobody has been installed. But yes, we do rituals and we perform all the necessary rituals that we need to give to Nana Segu. But nobody is being installed as the chief priest. When you go around Cape Coast, whenever you hear the name Segu or Sego, it means that that particular person was gifted by the God in this area. So this is where the name Sego is coming from. The same God that we brought from Egypt is the God that is giving and blessing people that are struggling with giving birth, or the barren. When they come and Segu gives them the baby, then they have to name the baby after Segu, or you hear the name Sego. So I asked Nana if the sea parted into two when they were coming, or what is the real story. And he says that as in the definitions, he cannot tell because that is the history they came to meet. But all that they know is that they came from the sea. So when you go into the forest as we speak today, you will see the statue of them, some carrying babies at their back and some holding their knives stuck in the forest. But nobody just gets up and go to the forest. When you go without the necessary rites being done, you'll be missing in the forest and you never come back to life. So every year we go to the forest with the chiefs and the elders and do and perform the necessary rites to remember our ancestors and our forefathers. There's a stone just few meters from here called Obokese. When you get to that stone, you see the footprint of Asebu Amenfi. You see the handprint, the fingerprint. You see even his balls printed on the stone because he used to sit on it. When you make it to Abradunko, you will see his sword still in the ground. Nobody's been able to move it, just like what Konfanoche had in Kumasi. And there's a rock that he stuck his 2 fingers in it, and you will see the 2 holes in the rock when you go there now. So this whole region, Abradunko was all under us. They are all under us. Where our borders went as far back as Chufupraso. So Chufupraso was our boundary. And until the weakness of our giants was revealed and we were captured by the enemy. And we never tell the weakness to anybody. I mean, who would expose themselves like that? I asked Nana if anybody at all can just go to Abradunko to go and sightsee the sword of the giants, Jemfi. And Nana is telling me he used to just get up and go because at that time they didn't have a chief, but now they have a chief. So every time he wants to make a move there, he has to inform the chief before he can go there. So they will ask for 1 bottle of schnapp and 100 cedis before they will give you permission to go and sightsee. So when you go there, you would see that there's a huge stone that he used for his door. And every time he was going to the washroom, whenever there's a particular stone that he would hold onto it, and you see his fingerprint all over the stone. All the miracles he did, all the wonderful things are all in Abradunko. He always loved water. Wherever he stayed, wherever he settled, he always made sure that there was water all around him. And just like where all the stories are. So when you're ready, let's just come around. We'll go. I'll make a call to the Abradunko chief, and he would ensure that we have somebody that would go with us. But even at Abradunko, there are so many wonderful and amazing sites. There's this particular coconut tree that has 1 stem, but it becomes a twin coconut on top. So its root and stem is just 1, but on top it breaks into 2, and it becomes a twin coconut. So that is also there for us to see when we go. Our community, though, at one time was a very mighty community. At the defeat of Amenfi, we were broken into pieces, we were disintegrated, and many people moved away from this community and went to settle in other places. So this is Asebu Amantin, and this is the little history that I have for you. Many would ask, do we have direct descendants of these giants? He himself never got married or never had any children. His sister also was not blessed with the fruit of the womb because no man would dare go close to him. Everybody was afraid. I mean, think about it. Who would want to be an in-law to the giant? So because of this reason, she didn't conceive and she didn't have a baby. And this is the little history I can give you about Amenfi. And all the queens in this village are named after the sister Amenfiwa, like the one on the poster. And I'm the Obia running to now. Obia man. Oh, okay. There's a community not far from here that is called Samu. That is where he was storing up all his grains every time he harvested them. And whenever he needed some on his journeys, he would go fetch some and put it on here that he had at his back. I asked Elder, is this not some story that has been made up and our elders are telling us, or this is something that actually happened? And Nana Kwao says that this is something that actually happened. It happened. The history is with us, and even so, right after his departure, we installed a chief who was called Amenfi the First. So we have Amenfi the First, we have Amenfi the Second, we have Amenfi the Third, we have Amenfi the Fourth, we had Amenfi the Fifth, we had Amenfi the Sixth, and the current one that is actually the chief in this town is Amenfi the Seventh. He's a professor, so he's called Oketechi Professor Amenfi the Seventh. He is the seventh descendant of our great ancestor Amenfi the Giant. Nana, I ain't bet you. I asked Nana Kwao MENSAH that what is his stand on our generation because of education, because of religion, because of civilization. So most of us, this generation, have actually turned our backs on spirituality and our spirituality. Whenever we hear about pouring libations and invoking the gods and sacrifices, we turn our backs and say it's evil. What's your stand on it? And he says this is absolutely wrong. We are a spiritual people. The chief in this town, when we installed him, we sacrificed a lamb and put the blood on his feet, pour the blood on his feet. This pavement you have, you cannot sit on if you're a man. You go impotent. When you are a woman and you're in your menses, you cannot come into this palace. When the young ladies who come to help clean around are coming here, we ask them at the entrance, are our red visitors in? If they say yes, then they cannot come in. If they say no, then of course they can come in, because everywhere around this place is spiritual. We are on holy grounds. The building you see right across us, right in front of us, is where we bury all our chiefs, right from Amenfi the First to the Sixth. There are certain very spiritual days and very high days that we perform special rituals for them. We go in there and we turn them, we change their position, because they are not lying in coffins. They don't sleep in coffins. We bury them like the way they bury the mummies. And during these special days, we go in and we turn them into different positions. We change the locks. Every time we do this sacrifice, we throw away the old locks, put new locks in, and throw the keys away till the next season. We throw away the keys because we don't know the intentions of men. When men find this key, we never know what they will do with them. I was once a Christian before I became the linguist to this palace. Now, when my family see me on TV, they say, you used to be a Christian, now you're pouring libation, you're into idol worship and demonic activities. The chief in this town, the king in this, so long as he is in town, it doesn't matter what church, whenever any church invites him, he shows up and he walks right through their church. How is he a demon? How is this demonic? How is this Satan worship? The same people who claim I'm into idol worship and demonic worship now are the same people who come to me when they need help from Nana Segu. They come to me, I go and pour libation for them at Nana Segu's shrine. So how does this even make sense? If they are calling us demonic and idol worshippers, satanic worshippers, and every chief that is installed in this town have to go through the rituals, then why do these Christian pastors invite us in when they are having their programs? Don't they remember anymore that we are demonic? Why do they allow us come to their churches? I was pointing to the building that they bury their chiefs, and he said, don't do that. this is where we bury. This is a very sacred place. You cannot just point your fingers. You cannot just even mention it. I only said it to you because of what you said you're going to use this information for. So don't be pointing at the place. But that is a very special place. It's a very holy place for us. We bury them. We mummify them. Whatever you see around in Egyptology, we were the ones that were actually doing these things, and then we brought these rituals down to Ghana. I asked, why don't we sit on that pavement? He said, this is where we do all the rituals. This is where we do all the sacrifices. This is where we do all the purifications. You don't want to sit at a place where a lot of people have let down their bad energies and deposited there. This tree that we are sitting under right now was brought here from Dodoa. And it's been, it was planted here a while ago. It's been here for over 100 years. It is called Osan. That is the name of the tree. The name of the tree is Osan. This is the same tree that is used for the pistols. That is used for the pistols. You know, the pistols we use for pounding fufu. So that's how long this tree has been here for. I asked him, so does it have any spiritual implications, or does it have any spiritual backing? And he said, if this tree has been over 100 years, we keep pruning and it keeps growing. If it didn't have any spiritual thing, do you think it would survive up to this date? I don't actually know what was put underneath it when it was being planted, but definitely it's not just standing there like that. Even me, by next year's 21st September, I will clock about 70 years old. So this was there before me coming into existence. At this point, he's asking us to wrap it up. I asked him a last question. What does it mean? What does it mean to have blood spilled on somebody's leg, or blood poured on somebody's leg? We don't actually slaughter the animal and spill the blood on the legs. No, we don't do that. We actually spill the blood on the ground, and whoever is being installed as the chief would have to walk on the blood or walk through the blood. And the symbolism of it is that when you walk on the blood, then now it says that your kinship is established both in this realm and in the dimensions you are accepted in. So before time, your name probably would be Kojo Menu or Kojo Mensa. But now, after the purification and after the rituals, you would now be given the name of the stool, the title name. Like for instance, what we have here, Okatechi, Professor Amenfi the Seventh. That's the stool name. That was not his birth name. So once you go through these purifications, then you're now given the name of a chief, which is accepted in the dimensions. You guys, listen. We are always learning. We are always discovering. We are always learning something new. I get excited every time I get the opportunity to learn from our elders, and I'm glad that Nana didn't hesitate to talk to us. There are a lot of things that he said that we cannot capture today, i.e. the time that it is, and he's a bit tired. So we're going to fix another date, and we're going to come back and see all these places that he spoke about. But at least we've learned lessons today, and we keep learning every day. We keep learning about ancestry. We keep learning about the powers that be, and the authorities that they exert, and the impact that they make in our lives. So listen, let's keep growing. Tell your friend to tell your friend to tell your friend, tell your family that we're growing. Make sure you share, you subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and pass a comment, leave a comment, and let's keep the conversations going. If you haven't joined the community yet, please do join the community by clicking on the link in the bio. And when you click on the link in the bio, what's going to happen? The link is going to take you straight into the community. When you come into the community, just introduce yourself, and one of the administrators will contact you and have a conversation with you. But the link is in the bio description. When you click on it, it will bring you to our community, and you become a part of the family. Stay blessed. Listen, I love you guys. I'll see you soon.